For a great cup of joe, there's one thing you should know. Your morning brew can also be playful. Buff Boy Brewing guys make the temperature rise. And you surely feel naughty when you swallow our coffee. If you want some real heat, give your mouth a fine treat. You will want some more, rest assured. Buff Boy Brewing, you can't get enough of.
It's time for The Scribble, your weekly fix of celebrity chats, bizarre stories in the news, and basic random chatter with best-selling author and syndicated radio host Jeremy Bradley. Make sure your seat is in the upright and locked position and your barf bag is securely in place. Here's Jeremy Bradley.
Put down your damn phone already. That's an order. Unless you're listening to this podcast on your phone, then welcome to it. It's The Scribble. My name is Jeremy Bradley, but you already know where I'm going with this conversation, folks. People's addiction with their cell phones, and it's only getting worse. And so we're going to talk about that on The Scribble, and it starts right after this.
Isn't it crazy that you wait for payday, but before you know it, you're strapped for cash again? It's time to stop blowing your money and become a smart spender with the book, The Official Guide to Being an American Cheapskate at cheapskatebook.com. Learn simple ways to cut costs at home every day and during special times of the year. Don't go broke at Christmas. Don't remortgage the house for a fancy vacation. The book is filled with tips to save you money throughout the year. Check out the best-selling book, The Official Guide to Being an American Cheapskate at cheapskatebook.com or on Amazon and iTunes.
JB here on The Scribble. So my question to you is, how long are you awake before you reach for your phone? That's my question, everybody. Now, I know, just in talking to people on a daily basis, whether that's my colleagues, friends, family members, on our syndicated radio shows, I would say that about 90 to 95% of the people that I've spoken with have their phone right beside their bed. The excuse, and I'm using the word excuse, is that it's my alarm clock. Okay, but here's the thing. An alarm clock, back in the day, had one purpose, right? It was, two purposes. One, to tell you the time, and then two, to wake you up. Hence, alarm clock, right? Two points. So, something that when I had an alarm clock back, like we don't have a clock in our room, and that's another story. Like we don't have a wake up time. So when I basically retired from our radio shows a few years ago, and I didn't have to wake up at 6 o'clock in the morning every day to work and do whatever. My husband and I just said to him, like, it's always been kind of my wish to not have a clock in my bedroom, meaning that's an escape room, not in the sense that you're thinking of an escape room, but like we're not having like that outside technology of phones. So a clock, like you're just kind of in this zone. And the way the upstairs of one of our houses is it's a big open loft. And so when you have the blinds and the curtains and whatever closed, it can basically be pitch black in our room upstairs. And so I love that. So to not have the glow of, an alarm clock or whatever, it's a really cool vibe. It's very relaxing. We don't wake up 17,000 times in the night because we're so trained to look at our phone. Phones are not allowed upstairs in our bedroom at night. Isn't that cool? Now, here's the thing. Some people will go and say, well, I upstairs, so I have a phone in case I've got to call 911, an emergency in the middle of the night. Fine. We have a landline in our room. Ring her off so that, yeah, I know, we've got landline phones in our house. But that's our workaround is if something happens and we're upstairs, whatever, we've got the landline. And there it is. So, So 90 to at least 90% of the people have a phone literally right beside their head while they're sleeping. Now, how many times do we hear people who have trouble, getting a good night's rest and they, doom scroll or whatever, or the glow from your phone makes it so hard to, get to sleep or whatever it is. A partner is laying beside you and they're going, I'm sitting there going, how boring is your relationship if your partner needs a phone while they're in bed with you? Now, granted, I'm not saying that it always should be, hot and heavy. I'm just saying that, I guess our bedroom is just different that way. Like our bedroom is because it's upstairs and it's sort of away from everything else in the house, and it's the only thing that's upstairs in our house in Canada, so that we have, like, there's no other reason to go up there, right? Like, when I was living with my parents, my room, before my brothers, like, I had two brothers who shared a room downstairs. My room was on the main floor. I had a room by myself. When my brothers moved out, I took the bigger room downstairs. But in both rooms, that was kind of like my own little home. So I watched TV on my bed. I ate on my bed. That was my only furniture, really. I didn't have a couch in my room. So that was, I didn't have a chair. I had a sort of a small room, and that my bed was kind of everything. It was my kitchen table. It was my sofa. It was my, so our bedroom is like, it's a bedroom. It's for the bed. It's for sleeping and, whatever. But it's not, we don't have the full on, like, big surround sound system it's up there. And I've found that, I get a perfect night's sleep almost every night. When my husband first came to visit in Canada, our very first meeting, he literally had his phone on his pillow. And I'd said to him, because he knew that I wrote a book called Put Down Your Damn Phone Already. And I had said to him, like, when we're together and we're doing this stuff around my house, this is our first get together, whatever, we're not doing the whole pictures and selfies and social media. That's not how this visit is going. That's not what we're doing. And so when it was our first night for bedtime, he brought his phone upstairs, and he had it on his pillow. And then he asked, because I had a table to the one side of the bed, because it was always just me at that point. I didn't need two tables. So I had this little table that I would have my water bottle on and a remote control, because there was a TV in the room. But there was nowhere for him to put his phone. So he was kind of like, well, can you move the table? I said, well, that's my water bottle kind of thing, whatever. And I said, but there's no phones in the room. And this was his first time being away from his family and whatever. And so he was very panicked and like, well, if something happens, here's the thing. If something happens while you're on another continent at 4:00 in the morning, you can do sweet fuck all in the moment anyway. There are no planes that are just going to transport you immediately, so it doesn't matter if, so there's an emergency. If you find out in 5 hours, that's okay. If you find out, and so it ended up being an argument and I just thought, here's the thing. If this guy is going to be so attached to his phone, it's not going to work. Period. End of story. Next. Get on the fucking plane and go home. And the phone was a big argument for us. So then the second visit when he was here, the first visit he respected that after a while. We sort of compromised, and I said, you can put the phone on the entertainment unit, like where the TV is. There's like kind of a dresser sort of a thing, and then the TV's on it. You can put it there, but we are not doing the phone thing, like while I'm sleeping or you're sleeping, whatever. Like, this bed is for sleeping, and, we leave it at that. So that was our compromise. And then it was the second visit when he came that it was sort of weird timing, because I was in Palm Springs. He was coming back from Brazil. We were both arriving in Winnipeg within about 2 or 3 hours of each other. So it was just kind of timing. So he had to wait for me because his plane landed first. And so he had all this time at the airport to scroll his phone and waste time and do whatever. So we get back to my house after. So I land, we see each other, and we hadn't seen each other for about 3 weeks. He couldn't get enough of this, let me tell you. He came at Christmas time and then at the end of January. So maybe about 4 weeks. So my dogs were at the sitter's place. So it was kind of like, we literally have this big house to ourselves. He was excited to come back. I was excited to see him again. And like, we have no interruptions. We don't have the dogs going wild, because this would be a double whammy for them, right? Because they haven't seen me and they haven't seen him in a long time. And so I was just like, yes, finally. So we get home, or we get to my place, and, we just kind of just drop our suitcases, right? Are you one of those travelers where you're just kind of like, just dropping it? That's fine. We are on the couch, and, you kind of like cuddled up, and he's scrolling Instagram looking at shoes on his phone. And I was just like, you had how many hours at the airport just now to piss around and, waste time? I'm talking to you. I just had January's award show season. So I just had barely like 3 days of a vacation, because we were doing back-to-back award shows, and and I said, and you're not even paying attention to me. Like you're giving me answers. Not happening. Not happening. Not happening. So I did. I literally grabbed his phone from him and I threw it across the room. I basically like threw it at the wall, and he got mad at me. And I said, did you just come here to sit on Instagram? Like, that's truly what it is? That's like those people that I laugh at when you see them on the beach in Mexico and they're clutching their phones and they're just, they're laying on the beach scrolling their phone. I'm sitting here going, you can go to a fucking tanning bed if that's what you're wanting to do. Go to a tanning bed in your own home or get a heat lamp for your house. Like, what is the point of that? And so we had this like blowout where I was just like, no, that's not how it's going to work. When we're sitting here and having a conversation, how was your day? He just flew from another continent. I just had a vacation. I'm in the middle of award show season, the busiest time of work for me. There's things to talk about. You're scrolling and looking at fucking shoes. Not happening. And that really was the sort of the line in the sand for our relationship. It was kind of like, I put my foot down. It's not all about the phones here. And here's how it's going to work. When we come in, our phones are going to go on the kitchen counter by the toaster oven. We have sort of like a little half counter kind of a thing in the one corner of the room. When we get in, the keys are put there. The phones are put there. We have a certain like ringtone or sound that, like, for me, because I'm in the news business, I do, I like with celebrity breaking news and things like that, I do have to sort of be connected 24 hours a day, but it's set to a special sound alert on my phone. So when that happens, obviously that's my job. That's something that I do have to go and grab my phone for. Okay. And same thing with him. He's got, a work email address or, whatever it is, and there's a certain sound effect. Okay, fine. Now, I'm not saying that it's just, once we walk in the door, there's no phones, period. No. But if it's TV time or if it's, we're watching a movie or whatever, there are no phones in the room with us. And I guarantee you're going to enjoy, like, maybe you're already shaking thinking about that idea because you just can't, go 2-3 hours without it. It's so much, especially if you really love the person and you're all about, like, that's, you focus on your partner. The other week on this show, I talked about, parents taking their kids to restaurants or fast food, whatever it is. And you've got either one, the parent is basically just sitting and staring at their phone and the kid is like, already taking a backseat to a phone, or they've already got their kid trained on a phone to just be sitting and scrolling. So, we had a very early understanding in our relationship that phones are not getting in between us. It's not happening. And it's, when we go to a restaurant, when we're going and doing whatever, we're not big, selfies and, lovey-dovey, ooey-gooey shots. We have them and, they're just for us. But I'm just kind of like, I see him like every day. I don't need to have, a million pictures. I don't get why. The only reason most people take 1,000 pictures of something is because they're going to be showing them off. We really don't do that in our relationship. No. So, okay. So how long are you awake before you look at your phone? Before you start scrolling and checking your notifications, doing all that? Is it less than 1 minute from the time you wake up? Send me an email, live@jbonair.com, live@jbonair.com. We're going to take a break. When we come back, throughout the course of the day, we're going to recap, phone usage, all right? We'll be back on the Scribble right after this.
Ever had something to get off your chest but never had the balls to say it? That's a load of crap. Speak Free with JB.com is exactly what you've been waiting for. Your chance to tell it like it is and not care what anybody else thinks. Have your say on issues of the day. Join newspaper and radio columnist Jeremy Bradley as he tells it like it is. Hundreds of thousands of people have stopped by, including some well-known celebrities who have had a chat with JB and speak candidly about what's really going on in the world. You can join them too. Have a rant or a rave. Be brave and head on over to www.speakfreewithjb.com now.
It's never too early to start thinking about your next holiday. Have you checked out Mexico recently? From tequila tasting, swimming with horses, to ziplining through the jungle and watching whales and dolphins in their natural habitat, Puerto Vallarta has it all. Visit mexico.jbonair.com to see all the fun PV has to offer. That's at mexico.jbonair.com for hundreds of photos, interviews, and videos from around the tourist hotspot. Check out mexico.jbonair.com for all the fun. That's mexico.jbonair.com.
JB here on the Scribble. So I was just asked during the break, well, how long are you awake before you look at your phone? Here's the thing. When we wake up in our house, and I'll get to the thing that I just said before the break, I would say that it can be about anywhere. See, it's hard because we also have dogs that go crazy in the morning. So there's a routine in our house. So it could be about 5 minutes. And again, for me, it's, the newswire and all these things. Because I'm not big on social media, truthfully, I look at my own Instagram maybe once a week. Truly. If you were to go to it right now, I would say there's probably fewer than 10 posts from me this year altogether. Facebook, even less. So for me, I'm just kind of like, whatever. I could not tell you. Let me name a cousin of mine, Jennifer. I know she's married, she's got kids. What's happening in Jennifer's life? No idea. Not a clue. She's on my Facebook. Not a clue. Not a clue. My brother Trevor. What's Trevor up to? What are his kids up to? The one's, graduating this year. Like, I don't know. Because I talk to them. Do you know what I mean? Like, if Trevor wants to send me pictures of the kids playing baseball or something, then he'll do it. I'm not following them on social media to keep up with the kids, right? That's why we have family get-togethers. That's why we have time together as families. So for me, like I said, so we wake up, the dogs are very excited when we wake up in the morning. So they, come tearing down the stairs. Then I'll let them out. I put some, food in the bowl. We have 2 rabbits. So I will go and make sure that sometimes they knock down their water bottle. So I'll go check on the rabbits, make sure they're fine. I do a nasal flush in the morning, so I do that. My husband goes, to the bathroom or whatever it is, and then he does the gym. So yeah, probably about 5 minutes. Our phones charge in the living room on the end table in one corner of the room. It's not something that we rush to go and look at. It's really not. So yeah, my answer would be about 5 minutes. Anyway, so throughout the course of your day, when you get to when you're on your way to work now. I'm all for it. If you are taking public transit, so if you're on, the bus or on the subway or something, absolutely watch a TV show or watch a movie. Fine. I did that all the time. When I was, years ago, oh my God, I had like the smallest, do you know, if you had a BlackBerry back in the day, they had sort of a big screen for the time. And so what I would do was when I had an office job somewhere else, I would download the monologue, like the Late Show with David Letterman. This is how far we're going back now. So you would sometimes be able to get the monologue, and what I would do was the term was rip back in the day. I don't know if that's still what you call it. You would rip the video. I guess you download it or you YouTube it now would be the term. So what I would do was I would download the monologue of Letterman and Leno or whatever. I don't think Colbert was on The Late Show at that time. But anyway, and so I would have a bunch of those. I would have episodes of Welcome Back, Kotter. I would have episodes of Golden Girls on my little BlackBerry phone. So we're talking like, the size of, the screen was basically the size of a Post-it note. It wasn't one of these big screens now. And I had my headphones on. I had almost an hour bus ride. I had 20 minutes on one bus, then I would wait, and then I would have and it was just enough time to watch 2 sitcom episodes, about 22 minutes or so if I, jump through the beginning, and then I would watch another. So I would get through 2 full shows just on the bus going to the office in the morning. So that's fine. I accept that. Now, I always find it really fascinating when people get into work, because again, I've done, I've hosted a podcast for companies, I've done a bunch of people bring me in to help them with projects. And I'm always fascinated because people who, come in and all of a sudden it's like, phone is literally right beside them on the desk. And for me, we haven't hired new people in a long time because we've had the same group of people for almost 20 years now. But I do remember we had this one, she was sort of like a student intern or something, or we didn't have to pay her very much because she was on some kind of a work program so that like the government was paying for part of it and then we paid part of it. So it didn't cost us as much as it would a regular employee. It was like a student placement. I can't think of the name. They're not paying attention to me across the room. But anyway, it was like a subsidy where it was like, we want you to hire kids. We want you, or like not kids, students, like a college student who's taking broadcasting. Government will kick in half the salary. We do the other half. And so we had that. She was kind of like a prissy valley girl. And I didn't like her from the very beginning. But it was like, okay, fine, whatever. We're part of this program. Bring her in. It was only like 2 weeks. She wasn't. And one of the first things that she did, she comes, sits down, here's your desk, whatever, phone out of her pocket, right onto the desk. We're going back about like 15, almost 20 years. So, it wasn't very common for people to do that. And I just remember thinking, if that's your priority when you're coming in here, that doesn't work for me. I don't like that. Because what that says is you're going to have this constant distraction, like that's always going to be right there in your face. And something that I've made a note of is when you have a new employee who comes in. I do know somebody who worked in HR for a while, and I would ask her, I'd said, does it bother you when people, like on their first day of work, when you have like the orientation or whatever, when you're sitting in the room and you're watching the videos and all those stupid things that you're pretending to be interested in? I said, when people are pulling out their phone, or do they put the phone on the desk when it's sort of like in a conference room? And she said, yeah, it's actually not allowed. I tell people that it's not allowed. I said, okay, but do you ever kind of see them, that they're pulling their phone out of their pocket and they're glancing down at it? And she's like, oh yeah. I said, but do you file that away? Like, do you ever say anything? And she's like, no, because what ends up happening is if you tell somebody like, hey, enough with the phone already on the first day, they're going to resent you. That's going to rub them the wrong way on their very first day. They're going to sit there and go, ugh, I'm not allowed to have my phone, whatever. And you're going to, I was going to say you're going to lose, yeah, I mean, they're just going to sit there and go, yeah, I don't like this place already, right? You're going to give them that bad first impression that, this is a no phone zone. For us here at this place, in our meeting room, in our meetings, when we do have meetings, it is a no phone zone. There's a little table outside the boardroom. If you happen to have it in your pocket when you're coming to the meeting, it goes on that table. It is not in the room with us. Or you just leave it on your desk or whatever it is. But no, it's not in your pocket. It's physically not in the room with us. It's not. Because your full attention is with me when I'm hosting a meeting, and that's just the way it goes. So what is it like at your place of work? Are you, your phone, undoubtedly, if you're in an office, most likely is on the desk beside you. It is. It's in front of you. It's beside you. It's somewhere within reach all day, that every notification that comes up, you're seeing it. You're looking at it right away. And so, it's kind of weird how people are so possessive or protective over their phone, where it's like you tell them no, and there's just this offense that it's taken. And I'm sitting here going, think about it. Back when I had an office job, when I was working at a publishing company before I stole all the staff and brought them here, you didn't have phones, so you didn't know if anybody called you until you got home and listened to your answering machine. And that was fine, right? You were able to get through the day just fine. Or if somebody needed you, they'd call the office or whatever it is. But we did not have this whole, like, I'm keeping surveillance and I'm going to just, open it up and see. And I don't like that sort of mindset, that it's threatening if, I say, I get your attention right now. I'm paying you. Your phone is not. Focus on me and what I'm doing and what my job is, or what what I'm paying you, what your job is. Focus on me and what your job is, not your phone. Your phone is not paying you. If it is, you're double dipping, and I want your full attention if I'm paying you. And so apparently, like in the HR world, that's where they actually say, well, people are, your staff is more productive if they can have there, because what ends up happening is if it's not allowed on, on the work floor or whatever you call it, then people are going to be excusing themselves to the bathroom back and forth all day. They're going to be, getting up, leaving their desk so they can go check their phone. And it's just easier for them to glance at their phone for that 10 seconds, look at it, and get back to work. That's debatable. I mean, I can understand that, but I would just be like, at the end of the day, that's what your break was for, right? That's what your 15-minute break was for after 2 hours of working. I mean, I would love to know, if you were to guess, I'm not taking a poll here, but if you were to guess, I want you to send me your answer. What percentage of people who are working in an office wait until that first break in the morning? Let's assume it's a 9 to 5 job. Okay, so you start at 9, your first break is maybe 10:30-ish. What percentage of people wait until 10:30 to look at their phone for the first time during their work shift? Less than 50%? More than 50%? 10% of people wait until their first break? Or do you think the phone is out immediately as soon as they sit down? Is it right out of your pocket and it's right on your desk? Send me an email, live@jbonair.com, live@jbonair.com. More phone chatter on the Scribble right after this.
Who are the Kardashians feuding with now? What did that little thug Justin Bieber do this time? Who's getting hitched? And who's headed for Splitsville? Hear the latest celebrity news and gossip every day on Entertainment Wrap-Up. The good, the bad, the ugly, but mostly the ridiculously hilarious. It's all recapped in this daily segment at entertainmentwrapup.com. Have a laugh at the expense of the rich and famous when they take themselves way too seriously. It's 3 minutes of time-wasting fun at entertainmentwrapup.com. Check out Entertainment Wrap-Up at entertainmentwrapup.com. Brought to you by Speak Free Books.
We hear you chirping. Get scribbling. Tweet up the Scribble at The Scribble Show. Join the discussion with Jeremy Bradley. It's all going down right now on Twitter at The Scribble Show and at thescribbleshow.com.
JB on Scribble. The Scribble. What's the show called? The Scribble. Hold on, I gotta check on my phone and see what it's called. So as we get through the day talking about phones, so I just said, the morning when you get to work, so now it's lunchtime, and you're going for lunch with your coworkers, and you just want to, shoot the breeze, shoot the shit, have some social time. I always found lunch break with my coworkers was the time that I can gossip and trash talk people. You bitch about your boss, you bitch about the ass kisser employee, you bitch about the person who's so nosy who wants to know everything, you bitch about the person who's always so busy but yet is on their phone all day. That's what I loved about going for lunch with other people. So for us to have our phone out as well, it's kind of like you've been looking at your phone all day. It's ironic that now you go for lunch. That's when you're on your phone. No, you've been sitting at your fucking desk on your phone all day. No, and so do you have your phone out on the table when you go to a restaurant? That's the question. Now, does it matter who you're with when you're dining out? So does it matter if you're with your partner? So for me, when Charles and I are going to restaurants, I mentioned, I think, on the show a couple weeks ago that we basically dine out maybe like once a day. We're not cooks. We have money so we can go and eat out or, whatever it is, order in. But yeah, definitely when we're at the restaurant, the phone is not on the table. And that's just a common courtesy. And so that's actually, it's not offensive to me, but I sort of look at people and go, okay, we're having, lunch together. This is not about the two of us connecting and having a conversation, and it's not just about us. And then you get the people who have the excuse. It's like, well, just in case the kids call, just in case. Here's the thing, is that remember, before cell phones, you were able to get through a dinner without connecting to the internet or having a phone signal. I wonder, could you imagine if a restaurant said, this is a no phone zone. So you come here, no phones are not allowed. Like I told you about our meeting room, you have a little basket. Think about you're doing that with concerts, right? Comedy shows or whatever now. You're not allowed to bring your phone in. And so, could you imagine a restaurant doing that? Somebody look that up. Tell me if there's such a thing as, a restaurant just saying, you're here to enjoy the food, the ambiance, the experience. No phones in here. Thank you very much. Would you go to a restaurant like that? I think that's a really smart idea. I would go to a restaurant that says no kids, that says no phones, that says no loud talking. I would just, I would go there. Yeah. So anyway, phones on the table at the restaurant or not? What do you think? Send me an email, live@jbonair.com, live@jbonair.com. Now, before anybody says that I'm anti-phone, anti-technology, whatever, I'm not. I can almost run my entire fucking business from a phone in my bathtub, and I love that. That's great. What I'm saying is when it encroaches, when it interferes, when it distracts, when it, whatever other word you want to use, on your life, then that's the problem. So like I said, with my husband, on the couch, because he's not listening to me now, that's a problem. If we are at a restaurant and all of a sudden he's, I'm talking and he's looking at his phone, that's a problem. It's a problem. It's a disrespect. It's a choice. You're making a choice that your phone is more important than me. And when it's a spouse like that, I damn well better be coming before a phone. Every time. Every fucking time. Let me tell you. And he won't make that mistake again. I guarantee. See, we tape at a certain time when he's actually at the gym, or he's So I would love to bring him on and have him, just put him on the spot and say, remember that time where you were tell them what happened? Well, you threw my phone at the wall. So, yeah, it's not that I'm anti-phone at all. There's just limits. Right now, by the way, as this day, right now, as I'm sitting here talking to you, we are taping 6 podcasts. We're taping 6 shows today. My phone is not in front of me right now. It's not. I'm holding a pen. I have a Post-it, and there's 2 glasses of water. I have a hot water and a cold water, and a microphone, obviously. I do not have my phone in front of me. And it was the same thing when I was hosting our syndicated radio shows, a 2-hour broadcast. There's no phone in front of me. Not. I have, my email or whatever on the computer screen, which is work related. So that's, but no, I don't have the phone because, again, when I'm in this room, I'm in an actual radio studio, right? Our building, we have a radio studio. This isn't just somebody in a basement doing so for me, because I'm at work and all of the information that I need is on my computer at work in front of me, I don't need my phone, right? Now, if I was doing this remotely or if I was somewhere else and didn't have a work computer, then maybe I would have my phone in front of me to check email or something like that. But no, my phone is not near me right now. It's not even in the room because I'm focused on the job and this is what I'm doing, right? This is my task at hand. So if we are doing, like I said, we're doing 6, so it's a very long day. We did a lunch break. This is the, what is this, our 5th show today? So we do a lunch break after the 3rd one, and then, that's a time for me to look at the phone or whatever it is. But no, my intention is hosting the show. That's my priority right now, right? And so let's now fast forward. So, you finish the work day, you are, driving the commute home, whatever it is. You haven't seen your kids all day. You haven't seen your partner. Your phone has got to be out of sight, right? It's got to be out of sight, out of mind because you haven't seen everybody. You got to connect with all of them. You got to find out what's going on. What happened at school today? Is that asshole at work still bothering you, right? Is your teacher still a bitch? Is, what? Well, or is the phone, right there in front of you, is it, or do you have that family time in the evening? Do you have the family time in the evening? Do you? I laugh at my parents because they have first of all, they're retired. It's just the 2 of them in the house now. All the kids are, the 3 of us are gone. But they each have a tablet. They both have, I don't know if my dad does slot machine games on the one tablet. I don't know if my mom does word games or I don't know what she does. Puzzles maybe or something. Anyway, so they both have a tablet and they're tableting and they have the TV on. And so they'll be watching or listening TV. Excuse me, they're listening to the TV, right? You're not watching because you're watching your tablet. And that's how they and that's their evening is the TV is on, I'm listening to it, but I'm on my tablet at the same time playing games or whatever it is that they're doing. So you're not watching the screen anymore. You're not actually physically watching TV. You're only hearing it. And so that's where, like I said, when we're watching at our house in the evening, no, we're watching TV. So we're watching TV for the show. What's the point? Then I might as well just download it as a podcast, listen to it in my ears when I'm walking the dogs. Then if I'm not going to be looking at the screen, right? So no, when it's TV time for us, that's that's the whole purpose is to sit and look at the screen and not be. Are you really listening? Are you really paying attention to the show if you're texting and maybe you can multitask like that? To me, it's just too much of a distraction. I don't like that. So now then, quickly, because we're out of time, but at the end of the day, so I said, your phone probably is, coming to bed with you, but are you scrolling in bed before you go to sleep? So is that kind of like your nighttime routine where you just need one more check of everything before you go to bed? Or did you already do enough of that throughout the day? Right? So, do you have the glow of your phone? Now, this is something that's really funny because I didn't realize, I knew that you could change the brightness. I always kept it on I always keep my phone on low brightness because my understanding was that drains your battery if you have the super bright screen. So when we go out to places now and you have to, if you have like your scanning code or whatever on the phone for your reward program or your, whatever it is, right? And that you have to scan your thing at the register. Well, apparently my phone is never bright enough, so I always have to. And so people will kind of say like, oh my God, like how do you even see your screen? I'm like, I see it just fine. When I do turn the brightness up, and sometimes I forget to put it right back down after it's scanned, and then when we're going out and doing our thing, and then when I get home, I understand why people get headaches from their phone, because I've cranked up the brightness just for that brief moment to scan it. And I'm sitting here going, wow, I'm just, my head or my body just isn't used to it being so bright right in my face. And I'm like, I get a headache just from that few seconds of holding it in front of me to look at it. So I dim it right down again, and I go, all right, that's easier to look at for my body. So I'm not trained. My brain isn't trained to be looking at a bright screen all day. I've got it, right dim on my phone. Maybe that'll help you. I don't know. So anyway, tell me your thoughts on phone use. Are you addicted to your phone? Don't lie. Don't lie. And let me ask you another question. What percentage of people would you say are addicted to their phone? I guess that, addicted is up to interpretation, right? So let's, does that mean that they're looking at it every 5 minutes? Does that mean that they're clutching it? Like when we're walking through a mall or through a store or something like that, it always draws my attention when I see somebody walking and holding their phone. When you're walking down the sidewalk, when you're walking through a hallway, when you're walking whatever, is your phone in your pocket or is it in your hand? Like, to me, that just says addicted when you're walking and it's in your hand. Think about it. Is there any other device, like I'm looking around the room right now, like I said, I'm holding a pen, which whatever, it's a writing utensil, fine. But even then, I don't hold a pen in my hand. There's no other item in the world ever through the course of time that you would have in your hand so long. I challenge you to name me something else. Even people who just had a baby aren't holding the baby that long. I'd do a stopwatch. I would say, if you have a person who's addicted to their phone and a newborn, a new mom, is the baby being held longer or is the phone being held? Between the two people, do the stopwatch. I would like to see which one is held more. There's no other device that we hold in our hand for so long. So for me, I'm just kind of like, I laugh at, so back to what I said about people on the beach or whatever, like that's your vacation. How are you not enjoying it for the moment? How are you not looking around? How are you not walking down the beach? And it's comical to me because you're in paradise and you just cannot put down your phone to enjoy it. And the reason I say you're not enjoying paradise is because you are still connected back home to the point of a vacation is to get away. And, leave that all behind you. Otherwise, okay. So, anyway, send me an email. We are so out of time because I've gone over. live@jbonair.com, live@jbonair.com. Am I wrapping right now or do we have one more break, you guys? What are we doing? All right, I will talk to you next time on The Scribble. Bye-bye for now.
Want more Scribble? Check out thescribbleshow.com for past shows, celebrity interviews, cheapskate tips, and more. That's at thescribbleshow.com and on Twitter at The Scribble Show. The Scribble is a speak-free media presentation.
If you want some real